Well, hello everyone. It's Sybil Starr, and I am here to give you the astrology update for the Pisces new moon. I'm calling this the River of Consciousness because there are 4 planets, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces is so much about water and it's so much about consciousness. And the 2 rulers of Pisces, which are Jupiter, which is the ancient ruler, and Neptune, which is the modern ruler, are in that sign. So it makes it extra powerful. So anyway, this new moon at Pisces is at 13 degrees. Well, it's actually 12 degrees 6 minutes, but we often make it go up to the next degree, 13 degrees, on March 2nd at 9:36 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm going to screen share and show you this chart. All right, so here it is. Okay, so what we have here is we've got the sun and moon in Pisces. And by the way, this is called an Aries degree chart. This is and when there's an event happening all over the world, I like to use this kind of a chart rather than in just a specific location. Okay, so anyway, we have the sun at 12 degrees 6 minutes of Pisces, the moon at 12 degrees 6 minutes of Pisces. We have a very tight conjunction. This is Jupiter, 14 degrees 16 minutes of Pisces, and then Neptune here at 22 degrees 27 minutes of Pisces. Now that's and I would call this a conjunction, even though it's the Neptune's a little bit wide, but you know it's still a major influence, and it's the ruler of this sign, so I'm giving it a little extra leeway, and I feel like it's just simply a very powerful energy of Pisces and Pisces. Okay, now this Pisces, this whole, what we call this stellium, I would call this stellium, is in a sextile, well, except for Neptune, to Uranus at 11 degrees of Taurus, 36 minutes. And a sextile is opportunity. It brings opportunity. And so Uranus is opening the door for some opportunities. And then we have this big conjunction up here of Pluto, Mars, and Venus at basically 27 degrees of Capricorn, and we know we're in the middle of the Pluto return of the United States, and Pluto is at 27 degrees 49 minutes of Capricorn right now, but its exact return was on February 20th at 27 degrees 32 minutes. Now, there are going to be several activations of this Pluto return, of this Pluto return, and it's really in effect for the next several years. And so this is just whenever Pluto is involved, it's, there's something powerful up that needs to be looked at, and it's about soul healing and purification. All right, and another, we might get to it, is Saturn and Mercury are tightly conjunct in Aquarius. All right. Now, so what does all of that mean? That's what we're going to be doing next. Okay. So first I want to start with the Sabian symbol for this degree of the zodiac. And it is a sword used in many battles, is now in a museum. And, it's like the sword has been laid to rest. It's the laying down of the sword, and it's the old way of dealing with conflict. And, in this Pluto return, we're going to be, we're going to be digging deep into the old ways we've been doing things so that we can release what no longer works. And we know that, the sword really doesn't accomplish a whole lot. And, Pisces is one of the signs of peace and unity and consciousness. So anyway, I think this is an appropriate symbol for this degree of the zodiac. And, back in the 60s, we there was a huge anti-war movement, and it actually stopped, the Vietnam War that was in progress. And hopefully we won't come to that, but it is time to lay down the sword. It's just not the way to move forward. So anyway, let's go on to the actual new moon. So once again, we have the Sun, Moon, Jupiter, and Neptune in Pisces. A lot of water. Pisces and Neptune are very much about water, the great cosmic sea, the ocean. It's literal water and the ocean of consciousness. And we know that water has consciousness. Water is sacred. Water has memory and carries sound. Many indigenous people send their prayers out standing in the water because they know that the water crystals have memory and they are sound carriers. Water is life. Life began in the water, and it connects us to everything. So I think it's really important this month to spend time near the water, bathe, shower, and you can also say your prayers in the shower, knowing that that running water, will actually take your prayers and connect it to everything. Go to the ocean, the river, or a lake near you, and also take care of the water. It's really important to keep our creeks and our rivers and our lakes clean. And as a matter of fact, here in Santa Rosa, we have our spring lake has been covered by some plant material that is apparently toxic, and someone told me that, and this makes sense, is that the fires, comes from the fires, that the ashes have the toxins that are in the ashes, because there's so much in these fires here in California, that are burning, houses, cars, all kinds of chemicals. And it's getting into the ash, and there is a belief that the pH of the water is toxic now, and there's very little wildlife there now. And the Sonoma County parks say that they have to manually remove it, and they say they're waiting until it's fully bloomed, because if they don't, it'll just come back. So I think that's just kind of, and I think it will come back, but I think it's kind of like letting us know how everything is connected. Water and energy, everything is connected. And another example of the pollution of the water is, I just recently read that our water is polluted with pharmaceuticals, that it's not only big pharma dumping, their waste products in there, but people taking so many pharmaceuticals, and it's in our urine, and the filters do not take it out. So it's I think water is on our mind right now, and to really say some big prayers for the water. Bless your water when you drink it, and say the prayers for the water, and whatever you can do to be involved in caring for the water. Water is cleansing, and it does flush out the toxins. I was just recently on a detox program where I drank a gallon of water a day, because that is what the part of the detoxification was to flush it out. And I just also want to say too, with this much water around, there's the potential for rain and flooding. And I just have been reading in the Pacific Northwest that they're having an atmospheric river, but pretty much ever since Jupiter has come into Pisces, there's been a lot of moisture in many different places around the world, just not here in California. We really need it, so we need prayers for water here. And Jupiter is tightly conjunct this new moon, and Jupiter is also in alignment with the brightest star in a constellation called Eridanus, and it is what it actually is called is the river. The other name for it is the river. And the meaning of when a planet is near this in this constellation, it means rapid changes are happening. And I see it like traveling the rapids. We are in a time of rapid change, and with all of this water, it's like, how do you navigate this, rapidly flowing water? And one of the keys is to flow like water, to know that water goes around obstacles. And if we surrender to the water and let it lead us, it can lead us to places we would have never found on our own. If you just think about sometimes, let's just say a movie and you've seen someone who's just been taken by the water and the rapids, and they show up in a completely different place than where they were intended to be. And that happens too, just if you're boating or doing something, sometimes rapids come along and you end up in a place you weren't planning to be, and yet it's the place where you need to be. So it's about trusting the process and following the flow. And you can really feel the flow of your own energy in your own life when you're in the present moment. Chronic busyness, I just want to say, being really busy can really interfere with our ability to feel the flow of our own life. So it's just so important to have downtime, prayer, meditation, time out in nature, whatever it takes to allow us to feel that flow of where our spirit is guiding us. And, Jupiter, once again, conjunct the sun, opens doors. It brings opportunities. And Pisces and Neptune, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, and it's about endings. So this is about opening doors, going through the doors that open. Okay, and knowing there's some other doors that may close, during this month. And I do want to say this is in effect for the month of March. This reading is, okay. So there may be some doors that open and some doors that close, and it's really following your own energy. Water is about emotion and feeling, and we must feel what is in our hearts. This is a time of moving energy, clearing, detoxifying, and removing the barriers that keep us from feeling, because there are high frequency vibrations coming in at this time. These are very high frequency planets, Neptune and Jupiter, and we know that we are in a field of high photonic and light, high photonic energy and increased light, and there is increased frequencies coming in. And the clearer our energy field is, the more we can receive that. And so what might come up is it's like to be able to feel our feelings. The trauma has made us protect our hearts, places where we have been hurt. And it's time to heal our hearts, because the heart is the gateway to these higher frequency dimensions and love. That is the higher frequency, is love. It's higher vibrations of love and blessings. And, Pisces is an energy that feels everything. And the highest form of love is compassion. And to be able to feel compassion, we also have to feel suffering. So know that the attunement to suffering may also be very acute in this field, and the ability to keep our hearts open and feel it and have compassion, not only what's in our own hearts, but the heart of the world. We are also in a field of infinite possibility, being open to miracles. Miracles happen all the time. And with Jupiter and Neptune, and Uranus is also involved, because Uranus is in a sextile to this new moon. All possibilities are there. And the most important teaching, I think, of this time, though, is about unity consciousness. This is where we are headed, is into unity consciousness, remembering on an energetic level that we are all one, and that Pisces is the energy that reminds us of that we are swimming in a great cosmic sea, and we are moving into places of non-duality as our frequency, as we have these frequency upgrades. And I just recently had a very mystical experience in a ceremony where I was shown that we are not alone. There are so many of us in the light. Not only are there beings of light from other places or from the cosmos, but humanity is awakening. It is beginning to awaken from our sleep of separation and remembering that we are that we are source energy, that we carry that divine spark within each one of us. Now, the shadow side of this is illusion and delusion and deception. Neptune, puts a veil of fog over everything, and the potential to go deeper into trance is certainly a possibility, and believing what we want to believe. Now, this new moon is in a sextile to Uranus and Taurus, and I feel like this is just simply another indication of the rapid changes in consciousness that are happening. And consciousness shifts can happen like a flash, like lightning. And Uranus involved can mean sudden change. Consciousness and Uranus pushes us out of our comfort zone. Taurus likes to be comfortable, but Uranus is pushing us out of that, because it's just right on the other side of that comfort zone is where change really happens. Okay, and where the change that we want. I feel like it's about embodied spirituality. And I think one of the meanings of this is that when we move into these higher frequencies and we stay embodied, it actually moves the molecules of ourselves further apart, so there is more space in between them. And so what it's doing is making matter less dense. And when matter is less dense, we have more fluidity, we have more flow. We can flow with the energy so much better, rather than being our solidity is not as dense. Okay, so we can move with that flow more easily. And some things you can do, of course, are take care of your body, detoxify, cleanse, beware of what goes in your body, feel your feelings. This is really important, because when we suppress and repress our feelings is where we create energy blocks. It's important to feel, and as we feel, it makes us more flowing and more fluid and less resistance to the direction that our higher selves and spirit are guiding us. Be outdoors as much as possible, and of course stay grounded and centered in your heart. Being present in your body in the present moment is what allows us to feel the flow. Okay. Now, the Pluto-Mars-Venus conjunction at 27 degrees Capricorn, is very significant. And I feel like on a personal level, Venus and Mars, they were lovers in Greek mythology, and they're polar opposites. It's the masculine and the feminine. So I feel like, Pluto's always about soul healing. So it's just saying to me, it's about the integration of opposites within ourselves, masculine and feminine. And it also absolutely brings into play relationship, because this is a passionate affair. And so there is a potential to do some deep healing around sexual issues, around our relationship issues. Pluto requires honesty and authenticity. So relationships may have some growth experiences this month, but ultimately, it is about healing and self-empowerment. And Pluto often brings forgiveness, asks for forgiveness of self and others. But there may be a path to redemption, if there was a betrayal, something may need to make amends to make sure one is sincere. All right. Now, in the chart of the USA, like I said, Pluto is at 27 degrees, 32 minutes in the second house. And Pluto is activated by transit now. We're having a Pluto return. And I think this is, I'm going to be talking a little bit about it each month, maybe this specific issue, but in this month it involves the Pluto Mars-Venus conjunction in the second house. And Pluto is about purification. It is the alchemical process and the releasing of the old conditioning and what is no longer authentic and what no longer serves us. It is an unveiling and a revealing of whatever it is that is corrupted. And in Capricorn, it is showing us the corruption of our institutions. And I think it's just very interesting that as the veil is pulled away, it's becoming very clear that we have become a plutocracy. And a plutocracy is a government that is ruled by the wealthy. Those that have the money. A corporatocracy, we could say that as well, but I think there's also just simply individuals and corporations. And, what was it? Somebody's definition, I think it was Mussolini's definition of fascism, was the integration of business corporations and a government. And so that's another thing we could say here, but I think plutocracy really nails it, especially in the midst of our Pluto return. Now, the Pluto, Mars, Venus. I want to talk about that as it relates to the collective, because I feel like what this is wanting to happen, what Pluto is showing us, is the divisiveness that we are seeing, and that there is a potential to heal it, the healing of the divisiveness, because our relationships, Pluto in the second house, by the chart of the U.S., is about transformation. Well, Pluto period is about transformation. That's a big piece of what this Pluto return is about. And what we are being shown in this new moon is it's about healing our relationships. Okay, and doing our own shadow work around how we may be contributing to that divisiveness. Just being really aware of what we say, and this is really important. And what is really important? What is really important is, because some say that we have not been this divided since the Civil War, and that another one may be coming. And it kind of seems as though the lines are being drawn around the same areas of the country. And it just doesn't have to be this way, but we are the collective consciousness of this nation. And by doing our own shadow work and healing any places where we are being divisive or judgmental or self-righteous, that's what needs to be healed, because Pluto ultimately shows us it's about self-empowerment and how we can make different choices. And we do not have to engage in this separation and divisiveness. And those that actually have the power win when we are divided. When we are unified in purpose is when the people win, by not attacking each other. And we are moving into unity consciousness. So I feel like this is what Spirit is showing us. That needs the us versus them mentality is what needs to dissolve, and to know that we are all part of the family of humanity and members of this nation. And how do we work together and get along with differences of opinion while respecting the free will choice of others? Okay. And just one more small thing I want to bring up, because we are in, there's all of the media is focused on Ukraine and what is happening there. And it's just 24/7 war. And in the chart of the United States, there is a Neptune-Mars square that is activated by Neptune right now. Not only are we in the midst of our Pluto return, we're also in the midst of our Neptune opposition. Neptune is opposing Neptune. It's at 22 degrees of Pisces, opposite the Pisces, Neptune of the United States, which is at 22 Virgo. So, and Mars is at 21, or basically 22 Gemini. And Mars and Neptune together can often mean deception. It's kind of a sleight of hand, and to know that all is not as it seems over there. Just because the media is blaring at 24/7 doesn't mean that everything they're saying is true. We don't know that, and that doesn't mean that the people there are not suffering, and it is being felt acutely. Absolutely. The people are the pawns. I feel like, some are calling this kabuki theater. The World Economic Forum has its finger in this, because, Putin is part of the World Economic Forum, as are most of the other leaders of Europe. And so, it was kind of like, exit coronavirus and immediately enter, war. And so it's just really paying attention, knowing that the media is thick with fake news again. Um, and Neptune and Pisces have to do with videos. There's many fake videos out there as to what's really happening. So just don't believe everything that you are told or what you see. It is important to know that all is not as it seems, and to reserve judgment for what we really don't know, but know that yes, the people are suffering, and it is important to hold the people of Ukraine in our prayers. Okay. All right. So, just a couple of things here, and that is just to kind of tie things up. And I think water is sacred. It's just so important to remember that we are in times of great and rapid change. It's like traveling the rapids and allowing ourselves to flow like water, because it really can lead us to places we may have never found on our own. Trust the process. We need to be present in our body and feel the feelings, and it's so important to do our own shadow work around the divisiveness in our relationships, because we are creating the collective consciousness by every thought, feeling, and choice we make. And I want to close with just this message from the Hopi elder, because it's just so powerful, and I feel it's so appropriate. Okay. You have been telling the people that this is the 11th hour. Now you must go back and tell the people this is the hour, and there are things to be considered. Where are you living? What are you doing? What are your relationships? Are you in right relationship? Where is your water? Know your garden. It is time to speak your truth. Create your community. Be good to each other, and do not look outside yourself for the leader. Then he clasped his hands together, smiled, and said, "This could be a good time. There is a river flowing now very fast. It is so great and swift that there are those who will be afraid. They will try to hold on to the shore. They will feel they are torn apart and will suffer greatly. Know that the river has a destination. The elders say we must let go of the shore, push off into the middle of the river, keep our eyes open and our heads above water. And I say, see who is there with you and celebrate. For this time in history, we are to take nothing personally, least of all ourselves. For the moment that we do, our spiritual growth and journey comes to a halt. The time for the lone wolf is over. Gather yourselves. Banish the word struggle from your attitude and your vocabulary. All that we do now must be done in a sacred manner and in celebration. We are the ones we have been waiting for. That's absolutely right. We are the ones we have been waiting for. Let go of the shore. Go into the middle of the river. Know that the river has a destination, and see who is there with you. This is the transformation that we need. The new is taking us to the new world that we are creating. All right. Well, wishing you all a wonderful month of March. And if you like this video, please check like. And you can contact me at my website at sibylstar.com. All right. Thank you.